Hi, and welcome to the Rags to Riches show with myself, Terry Blackburn. So today's guest is a guy called Sam Ibgi. He's got a really interesting story, I feel. I've done a bit of research on the guy. It's quite a fascinating story from what I know. To give you an idea, he's went from growing up in quite a rough part of London, I understand, being homeless, to now running a business that operates in 6 countries. He has luxury apartments in places like London, Ibiza, Italy, Cannes, and Krakow. He offers a sort of bespoke experience to his guests, things like a concierge service, private jet bookings, yacht hire, things like this. And he's done a lot of this from nothing, and built a lot of it quite interestingly on social media, using influencers, which I'd like to talk about. He's had an article written about him in Forbes. So I think it's fair to say he's achieving a lot, and it'll be an interesting podcast. So welcome to the show, Sam.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction.
No problem.
Sure.
Problem. No problem. I appreciate you coming on.
It's been an interesting road, to say the least. So yeah, please, let's do this.
Fantastic. So thanks, Sam. So what we like to do on the show, Sam, is we like to look at your life so far and sort of break it down into 3 parts. And we'll talk about each part, and we'll hopefully extract some lessons and some learnings from each part. So the parts will be the first part will be your upbringing and how you got into business. The middle part would be the exciting part, the growth part, and how it's got to where it is now. And then the current would be what your attention is on right now and what you're looking at going forward. So could you maybe first of all tell us about that start part of your sort of journey in life, Sam, about your upbringing and how you sort of got into business, please? Sure.
I mean, my upbringing was a very, very simple upbringing. Like you said, the best part of London, it's Tottenham, North London, South Tottenham, Hackney area. And yeah, you know, we didn't have any money or anything like this. We lived off benefits, etc. But, you know, caring family, loving mum. You know, way back then, dyslexia, ADHD, none of these things were really recognized. And I've got pretty bad dyslexia and pretty bad ADHD. And put the 2 together, you're kind of just barred as wild and lazy because you can't read and write and you can't sit still. So they don't really know what to do with you. And that being the case, and obviously from where I was and the kind of school I went to, which didn't have much hope, it was, you know, you're going to do nothing and achieve nothing. That's what you're being told anyway. So that kind of pushed me completely in the wrong direction, hanging with the wrong crowd of people, the wrong friends, which got pretty bad and pretty rough. And like you said, left me at 14 years old, living on the streets. Which was a place I knew I never wanted to be, but I was, and that was the scenario I was in. So I had to get a job. The only job I could find was cleaning the building sites. And actually, you know, I remember my first day on the building sites, and the foreman just said to me, great. I mean, you know, I was 14, 15 years old, something like this. And he said, great, clean that room. We need it ready for plastering. And I thought, great, went in there and I scraped every single little thing off the floor. I cleaned that place so well. You could eat off that floor. It was spotless. And I just remember him coming in and he just stood there and froze. And I looked at him and he went, you just cleaned this? And I said, yeah. He goes, that only took you 2 hours. I said, is that a problem? Does it need to be done quicker? He's like, I've never seen a building site this clean ever, let alone 2 hours. And that instant, for 14 years being told I'm never going to make anything of myself, I'm going to be nothing because I can't read and I can't write and I'm wild and I'm with the wrong people, constantly being told that, to suddenly someone just going, how on earth did you did that? And knowing no one can take that away from me because that was me. I couldn't cheat an exam. I couldn't get someone else to write it for me. I was just given a broom and told clean, and I did it so well. And that gave me that instant satisfaction and the instant knowledge that, okay, I can do something. There's 100% something I can do. If it's just cleaning, I don't care, but I can do it. And that was my first insight into the building sites. And then I, you know, thought, right, well, now I've got cleaning down to a T. After a couple of months, 6 months, I want to learn how to decorate and plaster and plumb. And, you know, it took me about 4 years, 4 or 5 years. Yeah, about 18, 19 years old. Did I kind of had a grasp on every trade within the building site. Whether I was good at every one of them is a different question. You know, there was obviously something that I had an understanding how to do it, but not necessarily I was the best at it. But, you know, I knew what I was doing, and I could see when something was right and wrong, and I knew I had a knack for it. And, you know, I can look at something and, you know, I had a very good understanding for construction, building work, and how things should be done. And if I couldn't do it, I knew how to find the best person to do it because I understood the trade. And 18 years old, 18 years old, I started my own construction company. I say started an own construction company. I was going to Wicks on a bus and picking up plasterboards and bucket of paints to fix people's kitchen ceilings. And, you know, but you got to start somewhere. And after 6 months, I convinced someone to give me their job to do their entire house, a full top to bottom refurb, back to the brick, everything out, start again. And I thought, right, this is it. You can't mess this up. You don't get chances like this. I couldn't even put a quote together. I had to just tell them this is what it's going to cost, and just watch. I'll do it for you. Yeah. I said, pay me in arrears. I saved enough money. I said, pay me in arrears. So you're not even laying out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just, I will pay me monthly, and I will tell you what I'm going to do that month. And that's what I did. And I did it, and I worked, and I was there every single day, from helping the laborers fill up, take out insulation, the old wire, you know, the stuff, the insulation in the heat that gets stuck to you and stuck to everything because you're emptying a loft. And oh my God, you know, and I thought, it doesn't matter. I don't care. I've got my own place. I've got a massive team behind me now. I've subcontracted everyone. I had a few guys on the payroll. I'm doing this. This is it now. It's taken me 4 years to get here. I am where I am. Let's just do this. And I worked with every single tradesman, and I was on site. It took us about a year to do the whole job from start to finish, with the plasterers, plumbing, everything from start to finish. And yeah, I finished the job, and I said, listen, just make sure there was no banners outside with a company name. There was no website. There was none of this stuff. You're talking 2008, 2007, 2008. And I said, just tell all your friends. I'm going to give you the best job. You just tell all your friends. In fact, I will show you, I'm not even making money off you. Genuinely was not making any money. I said, you'll give me an opportunity that no one has. So let's just do the best. So did that. She told her friend, they told their friends. And next thing you know, I'm running a huge construction company, 150 people, 6-7 houses on the go, none of them my own, just doing work for everyone else, making nice margins, nice profits of everything. And then I was ready to buy my first property, and lo and behold, the recession happened. Boom, the market dropped, as everyone knows, absolutely plummeted. But thankfully, I didn't yet. And I was like, oh, wow, well, that just happened. But I knew that my sweet spot is probates, you know, in the cheaper areas of London. Again, you know, we're not talking Kensington, that's come many years later. We're talking, you know, 250, 280,000 for 3 up, 2 down in, you know, zone 5, Burnt Oak, Edgware area.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Managed to buy my first property.
So just to jump in there, Sam. So you've done your construction stuff from 14 to 18, set your company up. When was it when you bought your first property? How old were you at that point?
19 going on 20. It was kind of after recession. It was literally 2-3 months after the recession. I mean, the construction thing just escalated super fast, you know, really. And I started making a lot of money very quickly. 5-6 big projects on the go at a time, not laying out, obviously, you know, getting people to pay me quarterly in advance as construction works. So I had a lot of cash flow. And what was your initial strategy with the properties? Was it buy-to-lets? Was it HMOs? Was it flipping, or get out as quickly as possible? So that's why I went for probates, because probates, there's no one living in it. The family don't have that kind of money. It's all being left to them. They haven't been in there. They're 60, 70 years old. No one's touched it for, 50, 60 years plus. So they're cheap. They're on good streets, the right area. I know they're already 30% below market value. If I can get them another 20% below by saying, listen, take 10% cash. Here you go. I'll give my solicitors to release it to your solicitors. Have the money. It's done. Okay. Regardless, I'm exchanging today. I've got 8 weeks to complete. But the day I exchange, my guys get in there and we start ripping the place out. If I get this to a completion stage before I complete, i.e. I'm due to complete in 8 weeks, but I can get someone to buy it off me, take my contract in 6 weeks for whatever money I put on top, that's not your problem. If I don't make it, you still get paid regardless because I've exchanged.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, here's your 10%, use it, do what you like.
Oh, okay. And what was your typical margin on something, on a typical deal like that?
Between 50, I'd say between 60, between 60 and probably about maximum was 120 I was making. And that was, probably I can count a handful, but I'd say the average was probably 75, 80,000. And I did my first property and flipped it within 6 weeks. And I went, Jesus Christ. It's been a year to make that kind of net profit in my pocket, and I've just done 70 in 6 weeks. I went, nah, this is it. That's it. I'm not doing work for anyone else anymore. We do my work. And in the first 18 months, I flipped 21 properties.
Wow. 21 properties, 18 months. That's quite impressive. And is this all London, all sort of around where you live?
So it was all actually Edgware, Burton Turk area. So that's zone 5 all the way out. It's just greater London. So, you're selling to your everyday person. And my trick was, because they're my builders, my contractors, they're on my payroll, so there's no one in between. I'm not paying a contractor his middle money, and I was buying it so below. And I always guaranteed the property relationships, as I found, is always what it's going to make you successful in anything you do, keeping the relationships. Yes. So I would say to the agents, listen, you get me that property at the right price. Whatever I negotiated down, so if I've negotiated the price down of 20,000 and you're worried about losing your fee on that 20,000, I'll pay that fee, because 1% all right, I'll pay it. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to give you the property back to sell. Guarantee. So you'll get fees on both sides.
Love that.
Once people started hearing that, I had every single agent every day on the phone. It was just go. There was no time to rest. 18, 20-hour days. It was full on.
Fair play. I think that's just short part of your story. There's loads to come, but that in itself, there might be some people out there who are listening to this and they maybe don't have much money, or they don't know where to start, or, they don't know what to do. That's a great real life story there, that going from nothing to that is, in that short space of time, is really impressive. But you've got to put the work in. I think you mentioned the 18, 20 hour days.
You got, oh my God. Within that time frame, Jesus, I don't think I had a holiday from being with the family at 7, 8 years old, maybe going Bournemouth or something like that. I don't think I had another holiday until I was, I think, 18, 19, maybe 20 years old.
Just non-stop.
I didn't even, the thought of a holiday, I didn't think my brain could compute that at the time.
You haven't got time to think about that.
You just, you're head deep, you're in, it's, you eat, breathe, sleep it, people always, I think the biggest thing that people always say is, they're like, oh, but you had this and you had that. What did I have? What did I have differently? You know what I had differently? I had that pure drive, ambition, and determination that no one was going to tell me otherwise. I know what I can do. You know what you can do. You put 20 hours in instead of your 8 hours a day, guarantee you'll get it done in 3 to 5 years. You put your 8 hours a day in, you're never going to get there, because you're always going to fall behind. That's simple math. You do not have to be a genius to work that out.
So it's a compound effect, isn't it? By putting the extra hours in, getting up earlier, doing all these things, doing what your competition aren't prepared to do or won't do.
They won't do it. They like to look at pictures of people doing it and say, oh, I wish I had that, but that's as far as they go.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's literally it. That's what, we've given this platform of Instagram and social and whatever it is, and there's so much good that comes out of it. But unfortunately, there's also a lot of, people just tapping on pictures and sitting there for hours and then going, oh, if only. Get up, do something about it, and you'd have it.
I think the problem is they see the success now, but what they don't see is the 18 to 20-hour days for years and years and years and not taking holidays. They don't see that, do they?
No, they don't want to though, because that's hard work.
Yeah.
I mean, that's hard work. People look at me and they're like, oh yeah, but you must have. Why must I have had help? I've never taken a bank loan. You know that?
Oh well, fair play.
Look at Company House. Not one of my companies have a bank loan against it. Not one.
That's it.
And I've got 6 companies in 6 countries. Not one of them have a bank loan.
No mortgages at all.
No. So don't tell me I must have.
Yeah. There
you want to say I must have, so it makes you feel better about yourself. That's fine. Crack on.
Love that. Just going back one step just before going to sort of the middle part and the growth part. I know you mentioned there you had this drive and ambition and sort of to do something. Do you think that came because you had the sort of adversity growing up, or the dyslexia and the ADHD and things? Do you think, and being told that you couldn't do anything, was that sort of part of that drive that you're having?
I don't know. I don't know. I've been asked that a few times, and the truth is I don't know. I don't remember a time of not having it.
Yeah.
I never, I've whatever I went through and whatever, things that have happened to me, etc. I don't ever remember a time not having that in a fire, in a build, stop telling me, I've always been like, if someone said to me, there's no way you're going to, that's why I got into so much trouble when I was younger as well. Like, there's no way you can nick that car. You can't get over that wall. It was like, they knew that I was going to do it, and 3 times over as well. And I knew that they knew that, but I couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
It's just in me. And don't get me wrong, have I had times where I sit there and I'm like, oh, why? Just why can't I just stop? Why doesn't this just turn off? Like, it's given me so much success, but oh my God, it's like sometimes you just want to be able to sit there and just read a book in the sun, go sit in the park. I don't know, go do something like normal people do.
Normal, yeah.
Play cards, and I don't know, like, I don't even know what that means. So, it's also a challenge. It's also, what I'm saying is that, for people to go, oh, well, you've always had this push. Yeah, but it's also been, don't get me wrong, for every successful company I have now, believe me, there's 3 or 4, 5 failed companies for each successful one I have, because I cannot stop. So, and sometimes that's, I've had to learn over the years, which we'll get to, that just slow down a minute. You have wonderful advisors around you for a reason. Take their advice.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point as well. And I think some people will be able to relate to that. Sometimes you're chasing dreams and you're chasing goals, and you sometimes don't take a step back and reflect because you're on that treadmill and you can't get off, almost, isn't it? And I think
it's a very fine balance. It's a very slippery road. It's really easy to just lose sight of what you're actually there for and
what's important.
What's not important. And if there was ever advice I can give to someone, is just stop looking at someone else and saying, I want that, or I want that, because that's never going to end. You're never going to find enough. You're always going to see someone else's car, someone else's watch, plane, jet, house, whatever it is that gets you going. to aspire to have something is one thing, but to be successful, you've got to know what you want. What's going to make you happy? Find that thing, whether that's having a house mortgage free, whether that's having a job that pays you enough money so you know your mortgage is paid, your car's paid, you can go on a nice holiday and enjoy time with friends, whether you want that mansion, the jet, the yacht, building an empire with generational wealth, whatever it is, just find what you want and then figure out how you can make enough money to get that.
Love that. Love that. That's a really powerful message.
But it's a really simple structure. When you start looking at what someone else has, you take your eye off what you need and what you want. Do not worry about what they have. You don't know how they got that. You don't even know if it's real or not. You have no idea. Do not concentrate on what someone else has. You like the look of a picture because you're like, I'm going to have that one day. Great. But concentrate on what it's going to take to get you there. Do the math. I need to earn X amount of money to get this. How do I get that money? Right. I'm going to work 3 or 4 jobs. That's what I did. I used to work 3 jobs on a go from 6 in the morning till 2 a.m.
Yeah.
So just, and again, you don't have to don't feel like you need to aspire to take over the world. Like that might not make you happy. Having everything might not make you happy. It could be you just want a house where you can pay your mortgage, you can put your kids through the school you want, and you can have a nice car and go on your 2 holidays. Great. Don't underestimate that. Just figure out how to do it.
Yeah, love that. Again, that's a really powerful message. I think that a lot of people will be able to relate to, and don't not comparing yourself against others, and finding what you want is a really important thing. And a lot of people as fields still don't do that. So I think that's a really strong, powerful message. Sam, thank you for that. So let's talk about, so went from cleaning to running a construction firm, flipping houses in volume with decent profit margins. What does the business look like right now? And then we'll sort of talk about how it's got there. So I've done some research on you, but I think it'd be better coming from you. So what does the business look like now? All these schwanky apartments and things, what does it look like
Yeah,
now?
so I mean, we've got, so as I've, as time's gone on and things have grown, we've obviously, there's now different companies. So there's a group company, which is Lux Property Group, and that houses everything to do under property. So from construction, development, off-market investments, buy-to-lets, building, we've just completed building a ski resort in Poland that we literally built to build and sell, and we did very well, to buying freehold buildings in Krakow, 18 apartments, 3 offices, a restaurant, that's a buy-to-let, boom, that's its own, to London buy-to-lets, whether it's student accommodation, whether it's high-end apartments in Kensington, South Kent, whatever it is. And that's all. So we have a group company, and under the group company, there's a management company. So we only manage our own stock and our own freeholds. We will not manage for other individuals or companies. And like I always said, and it's always been rule of thumb, you buy something from a local agent, give it back to them to rent it. So we'll allow them to rent it, but then we manage it all in-house, where we will deal with the daily maintenance, and we will deal with electric certificates, all, the boring stuff that you need to take care of, or, it all falls down. It got to a stage where, I was performing, so you get offered so many properties and you cannot perform on all. It's just physically not possible, regardless whether you have enough money to do it. You just don't have the time. So one's going to get you, either you don't have the money or you don't have the time. Put the two together, and what do you do with all of that? So here I am sitting with all this stock that I just cannot perform on. Either I didn't have the cash at the time, or I didn't have the time. So we then set up a department as an off-market investments, where I had a couple of friends and individuals that I knew very well through the property industry, through, networking events, which are very important. And I'd say, listen, I've been offered a property. I know no one else has the mandate on it because it's given to me. I'll give it to you for 1%. And when you're talking big numbers and all these 1% add up, suddenly you're like, well, actually, I can buy a few more properties with that now.
Yeah.
And so, you know, so the group company oversees the whole property empire, and it is to constantly buy, hold, rent. Very rare that we sell. Off the back of that, we then also have Buckingham Lloyds, which is actually its own company in its own. It's nothing to do with the other ones. Buckingham Lloyds was literally set up as a service apartment company 5 years ago in 2016, which, to be fair, at the time, I knew nothing about the industry. I had no idea what a service apartment even meant. It was just not what I did. Someone came to me and said, you've got properties in great areas and great locations. Why are you renting them out on ASTs, on normal long lets? Why don't you put them on service apartments? You'll make an extra 20% more. And I thought, hey, listen, if someone's telling me I'm going to make 20% more, I've got to give this a go, because that there's no such thing. When can you ever make 20% more on your product? Like, a property will only do, once you've hit a max, you've hit a max. You may get a 1%, 3%, 5% increase year on year. That's it. So when someone comes to you and says you're going to make 20% more, well, you look at the opportunity. We looked at it, we curated it, we found where the problems were with what we were doing. We found what the market actually wanted. We listened to our clients, we listened to our guests, we really curated a model. From my years of traveling, saw what I wanted and didn't want. Until I think it was 2018 where we really brought it in-house, and we realized we've got a brand on our hands and we've got amazing properties in the best locations. You know, let's really give the industry something that is missing. And to me, I've never been a fan of the 1%. I think if you're going to have a great luxury product, you should always try to appeal to the 40%. The 1% to me, they're just looking for the next shiny thing. There's not really any loyalty there. It's very hard to find loyalty because they just want the next new now. The 40% who are hardworking, they're working for themselves, they're an investment banker, whatever it is, they're trading, they're on Bitcoin, they've got Amazon businesses, whatever it is, you know. I thought, let me take the best product in the best area. And what do I want to create? I want to create the hallmarks of a hotel with the comfort of a home. And what does that mean? That means giving someone a 2-bedroom apartment for 800 square feet. That's our entry level. Giving front of house reception, 24-hour concierge, daily made turn down service, linen change, towels, molten brown toiletries, Nespresso coffee capsules. And that's a standard with a fully fitted out apartment with everything you could need, with a separate lounge so you can bring your friends home, you can cook a dinner, but you can stay one night, you can stay a week, you can stay a month, whatever you want. It's up to you. And it's a nightly rate. And my entry level price for my 2-bed, 2-bath, 800 square foot as a 5-star luxury apart hotel is the same price as a room, which is 200 square feet in the hotel 4 doors down.
Yeah.
So you can either get a room for the same price as a 2-bed, 2-bath, separate lounge, separate kitchen apartment. And that caught on like wildfire, because people are like, well, you've literally got everything they have. And we'll do everything from, you just take your apartment. Don't get me wrong. Some of them, yes, they go for 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 a night. But we're talking entry level, because every hotel is going to have, you know, in central London, your 5 stars will have your 10 grand suite, but they'll also have your £250 a night room. So just look at the entry level. And yes, you can either come to us and just take the apartment. You get all your amenities included. Your housekeeping is included. It's all done for you. Concierge and reception is there. You want to go above and beyond? Yes, we'll do your dry cleaning, your nanny, have a supercar waiting outside, chef cooking you breakfast in the morning, helicopter trips around London, jet to Ibiza. Luxury. We'll do everything for you or nothing. And cater to the 40%, because the 40% are the ones who are going to be loyal. They're going to come back. They're going to tell their friends. They're going to stay for a while. They're going to invest in the people that invest in them.
Love that.
We've
Love
had
that.
great, an extremely luxury brand off that, where we've never gone out of that. And from that, we've, with me, I don't have any business partners in any or shareholders in any of my companies anywhere. So I've always had the ability to allow the internal change to happen as we need it. And yeah, we've managed to go single-use, plastic-free, eco-friendly, sustainable, grow a great team who allow me to continue to grow the business whilst they do, a lot of hard work in maintaining, which is so important. And that's another thing, another thing that I think as a piece of advice I can give is, as a founder, as a CEO, do not be precious. People don't need to know who you are. They turn up to your shop, to your product, to your barbershop, to your whatever it is. They don't care who you are. They just want the best service and the best product. True. If you're going to stand there thinking they need to know who you are because that's what's going to make them come back, you're wrong. Give them everything they need. Get your staff, get your team behind you to make sure that customer service, because they're the ones paying your bill, the customer service is #1 priority.
Love that. Love that.
Once you work that out and you really realize who's important, which is them, not you, okay? It's them, it's the customer, it's the client. And within your team, within your company, within your organization, you must treat everyone the same. There's so many times where I'm sure you've had it, when you go to a luxury place and you walk in there and the staff or the team or the person on that front desk kind of looks down at you and you think, Jesus Christ, what have I done? I'm about to spend on a week here, your month's wages. Why are you looking? Why? Because I'm covered in tattoos. Therefore you have the right to look down on me. Like, what?
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
Hold on a minute. What's going on here? Why? Because the top care about the bottom line, which is their pocket, the money. So they put so much stress on the money that they give that to the head of operation, who gives it to the management, who gives it to the sales team. By the time that stress is brought all the way down to that person who's getting paid the least, that is at the front of the house, they don't have customer service.
I agree with that. I think that's something that's definitely missed. And, you're just making us think about a recent time I went to a lovely restaurant, Michelin star and all that, beautiful restaurant, beautiful, beautiful food, but the service was horrific. Yeah. And it just makes me, doesn't matter how good that food is, I don't want to go back. No. Yeah, I just don't want to go back, and I wouldn't.
No.
But that's
because they care about the money and they put that on the team. As a founder, as a CEO, you have a CFO, a sales director, or if you cannot afford that team, that's your problem. Never put that on your staff. Yeah. Do not expect the team to carry that burden, because then they cannot do their job. Their job is to service that customer. Treat your team with respect. If there's an issue, you speak to them. Do not let it out on your team, because it will show. They will have that face that no one wants to see when people walk into your establishment, and you will not get repeat guests and you'll get bad reviews.
I think that's right across any business, isn't it? In any
business, it doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter what it is. You having money problems is not your team's problem.
No, that's spot on.
They're not there to worry about your money issues. Cut the business back, close it down, go into something else, figure it out.
And it does have this it does have this trickle down effect. You're right, from the very top all the way down.
If the top are treating the top like, excuse my French, like crap, how do you think they're gonna treat the person below them like crap and like crap? By the time it gets down to the lowest paid person, which is, I also don't agree with that, and we're changing that hopefully within the industry. That person who actually, people don't see the managers, people don't see the sales directors, people don't see the CFO, they see that host on the door.
Yeah.
They're the face of your business. The waiters, the waitresses, the hostesses, the housekeepers, the barbers, it doesn't matter. Shop assistants. They're who people see.
Yeah, completely.
They're treated with respect.
Couldn't agree more. Just going to backtrack a sec, because you mentioned going into service accommodation, service departments, and there was an uplift from buy-to-lets. Do you still do buy-to-lets, or are you fully into this sort of this market now? Or do you...
No. We still do buy-to-let. So
buy-to-lets as well.
Another thing that we might do is we might actually buy a building as the group company. I say the universal we. We'll buy a building and then we'll actually lease it back to Buckingham Lloyds.
Okay.
Numbers work. If it doesn't make sense for Buckingham Lloyds to lease it because the product that we have is too heavy on operation for that area, give it to the local agent and let them rent it.
Cool. The reason I was asking is I've got quite a few buy-to-lets in the Northeast, and I've started to do the service accommodation recently. Got a small little boutique hotel, and it's blew my mind that the difference in profit. So although I'm like yourself, I'd still do buy-to-lets if one comes up, but I'm not really focusing too much on that. I've got a good base of buy-to-lets.
Again, after 18 years in the property industry, from starting as a cleaner to where I am now, you kind of get a feel for things, and you can have a broad sort of idea on, and I'm sure with you as well, someone shows you a property, you look at it within 5 minutes, you're like, that's just not going to work. The numbers just don't add up. Do you know what I mean? Like you can make a pretty quick decision on that. So you really don't need to wait on the buy-to-lets. You're like, actually, I'm buying it for this. My stamp is that. My refurb is this. Rentals, minus management, minus fees. Okay, great. I'll take it. You can do it on the back of a fag pack. Do you know what I mean? You don't need to sit there with an Excel spreadsheet. Whereas an operational business like this, that takes a lot more time, dedication, advertisement, people, teams, management, spreadsheets, numbers, it's an operation. It's an operation.
Yeah, it's a proper business. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Okay, thanks for that, Sam. That's fascinating to see the growth there. It's obviously came a long ways from the cleaning, the freshly plastered room. It certainly came a long way. So I did some research on you, and I noticed that in one of these articles you mentioned you do a lot with the social media influencers to sort of promote, I think it was Buckingham Lloyds, if I'm not mistaken. So tell us a little bit about that, because I think that's certainly a marketing strategy that I only think is going to increase. It's not going anywhere, I don't feel. Tell us a little bit about that. How did you use influencers?
As it came around, I was, on Instagram and following a bunch of people, and as one does, and this was in 2018. It was actually just before the birth of my first child, my son. My wife and I were looking to go away for what's called apparently a baby moon. That's not.
Anyway, not very relaxing them, I don't think.
Exactly. So I said, yeah, great. She's carrying a child. Gonna say this thing is not easy, and you want a 10-day holiday before this baby comes. I'm down. Let's do this. And we're thinking of where to go, and I'm on Instagram, and I follow this influencer, and this was before sort of like travel. I know I say before, it's only 2018. We're talking 3 years, but within this industry, you can see how fast. There was no TikTok. Do you know what I mean? Things move so quickly. So travel influencers showing hotels and places and destinations wasn't a thing. It just didn't happen. And I'm following this girl, and I'm like, wow, this place, she's there with her boyfriend, and this place looks incredible. Blue waters, everything. And she's American. So I was like, suddenly she goes, yeah, this is the Algarves. And I'm like, wait, the Algarves, what? And she had a swipe up. She's like, use my promotion code if you want to book this resort. It's they have adults only sections of the resort, whatever it is. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. Cool. Clicked it. Next thing you know, I booked the 10-day holiday, and I was like, hold on a minute. If I just booked the 10-day holiday by swiping up on her story, because I really loved what she was doing, and to be honest, you didn't even see much of the resort. You just saw everything else, what they were actually doing there. I thought, hold on a minute. I've got a building in Kensington opposite Hyde Park. Why don't I get them here? So I thought, here we go. So I literally reached out to about 50 of them, right? Not a single one got back to me. And I'm just messaging. Eventually, one of them got back to me. Actually, someone called Crystal Hefner, which is Hugh Hefner's last wife.
Oh, yeah.
She said, yeah, I'm coming to London. And she had 3.5 million followers, and her whole thing was all around travel and animal and welfare. And I was like, great, LA, 3.5 million. She literally goes, yeah, I'm actually coming to London for 4 days. I'd love to take you up on the offer. The offer was stay in our place. We'll pick you up from the airport, give you the apartment fully serviced, 4 days, do a swipe up, walk through of the apartment, but also show the park and what's around us. She went, yeah, great. Why not? I'd love to work with your brand. I thought, well, here we go. So she came, she stayed, she put it up, and boom, shocker. About 75% of those people that I messaged suddenly messaged back, oh, I didn't see your message. Thank you so much for your offer. I don't know how I missed this. And I'm like, you didn't miss it. I can see it. It was read 2 weeks ago. You saw it.
Love that.
And we got loads of bookings, and people were just from it. People all over the place. You know, we're talking 2018 where travel was booming. People are booking, and I'm like, no, this is crazy. And then another influencer actually called Helen Owen, and she was the one why this all happened, messaged me saying, listen, I'm coming with my boyfriend, would love to stay. Thank you for the offer. I'm like, great, stay. She came, and it just escalated. And then, you know, you had your few in there that kind of like had a big following, and you're like, let's see what happens. They stayed, nothing happened. Why? Because they're nothing to do with it. Travel. So you learn that pretty quickly. They've got a bunch of 16-year-old girls looking to see what lip balm they wear next, and you're like, yeah, well, they ain't gonna book a couple of grand a week place. So let's not get them back in again. And you kind of just learn, and then, you know, as you're building your brand and as you're building this, and you know, you kind of understand the kind of people you want to represent what you've built. And it's literally been incredible, to the fact that we've had, you know, the food god, which is Jonathan Chaban, Kardashian's best friend, to, you know, there's people obviously that we cannot talk about because they've come here with privacy, but you know, the rest of the people, they're all on our Instagram, and we've had massive travel influencers, and we did a huge campaign in the end of 2018, and you know, revenues went through the roof. And we saw the direct, I think what's really, really hard, and something we've been very lucky with, is to actually identify the direct, have the tools in the background to identify, right, when something like this happens, let's make sure that it's not coincidence that people just happen to be booking around Christmas time, and it happens to be you've got people there. Actually monitor your traffic, because that's really important. And it's done us wonders, you know, and we get huge names. I mean, we just had Jack Morris, who is Do You Travel. He's, you know, came to represent us as a brand ambassador for the company, and phenomenal. Did a week in 10 days in London, a week in Ibiza, jets, yachts, the lot. And yeah, we've had bookings and stays, and not just inquiries, people actually booking yachts and jets and apartments. And
wow.
So, but again, you know, it's understanding, even though they're a travel influencer, or if you're in retail or you're selling fans or whatever it is, just look at who is following them. Are their followers relevant to your product and your price range? If the answer is yes, give them whatever they need to advertise your product, because that 3, 5, 7, 10 grand is going to be tenfolds than you just sticking an advert up on Instagram and trying to push clicks, because these are people who follow this person for this reason and want whatever they have.
Love that. I think that's I think there's some key lessons in there for people just around marketing in general. I think people definitely buy off the influence of others. That's the whole influencer model. But making sure that their following is related to yours, and they're actually real on the, you know, the followers. Some people just don't have, they've got God knows how many followers, but they get three likes on a post. It's clear that they're not real followers.
100%.
No, I think that's spot on. I was just more from a personal note, really. I was interested on that, but I definitely think other people can relate to that. I think the social media, you can't ignore it. You have to embrace it. It isn't going anywhere. It's only going to become a bigger part of everyone's life with time. Love that, Sam. Thank you. So if we look at the here and now, then, so obviously you've achieved huge successes in your life already. What is your attention on sort of right now in the future? Where do you see yourself going and the company's going?
I mean, for me, it's always been about giving back as much as we can. So, you know, it's growing a brand big enough that it can support as many local charities, awareness on sustainability, on eco-friendly. I think it's such an important message. There's so much talk about it, but so little actually being done. So to have a brand that is a household name within the luxury travel that really focuses its energy on educating schools, young people, individuals on really understanding the detrimental effect on travel and how to do it where it's not having that effect. And it's having a positive effect by setting up, you know, setting up a marine life foundation. So all our yachts that we use, we offset it into the marine life itself and doing it ourselves, not just throwing money at a charity that get a certificate written for them, which unfortunately there's a lot of. And don't get me wrong, there's many charities that do incredible hard work. But for me, it's about really understanding, you know, where the market's going, where the world is going. And we happen to be, again, you know, like I was with buying my first property, just when I was in a buying position, the market crashed and, you know, timing, it happened to be, and great. I then did very well off that, where a lot of people would be scared to do that. Now COVID has happened and suddenly I'm in an industry where, boom, people don't want to be in hotels again. So let's really emphasize, and don't get me wrong, we've lost a serious amount of money. We ended up giving a whole building over to the NHS and saying, listen, have the building, please staff it. We don't want your people going into little rooms, just take it, have it. It's a brand new building. We completed literally 2 weeks before COVID hit last year. And we thought we can sit there and cry, or we can just give it away and staff it and make sure everyone's happy. So we did that, and the positive effect it had on my team and it had on us all, knowing that we can do our bit, which has really driven me to like, right, let's really grow this brand nationwide. So we do something, people look at us and say, we want to do what they're doing.
Love that. I think that's a really nice thing that you're doing for people. And it's you know, I know quite a few wealthy people do give back, but I still think there's a lot of people who make up money, they're wealthy or classed as wealthy, and they don't give anything back.
I can't get my head around that. But again, you know,
me neither. And
it is what it is. Everyone's got their reasons, and you know, I think again it comes down to let's not worry about what other people are doing. Just
focus on you.
You know, if you feel it's the right thing to do, do it. If you get inspired, great. Be inspired by someone else's success, by someone else's generosity, and just do everything you can to get to there.
Great.
Put in the hours. Don't be afraid to put in the hours. In fact, it's a must.
Yeah, nothing big can be achieved without hard work.
It's a must. It's an everyday thing. This is not, you know, 3-4 days a week. It's 7, as you know. Yeah, definitely. If you work part-time hours, expect a part-time salary. You know, as simple as that. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks, Sam. Just a couple more questions. What advice would you give to somebody maybe's sort of starting off in this sort of property space? Obviously it's very different where I am at, you know, northeast in London's worlds apart. I feel, you know, we can get a 3-bed semi in a quite a nice area or nice part of Newcastle for 150 grand. You probably can't get a parking space in London for 150 grand. So I think although I have listeners,
I think it's all relative, to be fair. I think if you're gonna start, you know, you've got to put everything you have, you've got to put into it. Okay. If you give yourself that safety net, you're leaving yourself room for failure. Okay. You cannot do this you can do it as a part-time. If you're already earning enough money to sustain the lifestyle that you have, you buy a safe. But if you want to do this as a business, and you want to do this as a passion, that I want to be a property developer, I want to own a lot of buy-to-lets, this is my goal, not, you know what, I'm earning really nice money, I want to buy a buy-to-let that's managed and done for me, great, do that. But if you want to do it as a business, you've got to, if you have £100,000 saved, £20,000 saved, whatever it is, there's enough lenders out there that will structure it correctly for you. Okay. Do not think you're on your own here. You do not have to do it on your own. There's enough lenders out there. Or do what I did where you flip contracts, but it's very hard to do that these days. Even I wouldn't even be able to do that these days. It's a changed market. Too many regulations. It's just not possible. Well, it is, but they're miles apart. So, you know, just concentrating on that point is that, you know, just, you've got to put the 100 grand in, the 20 grand in. Do not put half that money in and sit there and go, okay, you know, well, if that doesn't work, I've still got this. No, it won't work. It will not work. Do it all. Go all the way. That doesn't mean you now don't have rent money for 6 months. No. Pay your rent up front for 6 months. No landlord's going to turn that down. I guarantee you. Yeah. Say to the landlord, listen, if this is in my bank, I want to get this paid. I'm paying you. Here's 6 months. I've saved them enough money, a year, whatever the project's going to take you, take it and start small. I cannot stress that enough. Get a studio flat. Do not try to buy a house to renovate. If you've never done it before, the complications you're going to come up with delays on construction, delays on materials, fees going up, costs going up, planning, don't go there. Don't do it. Start small. Get a studio flat that's in bad condition. Buy it in an area that is cheaper. Always be able to walk to your property. Yeah, do not buy a property 4 hours drive away from you, because you ain't going to be there every day, and you need to be there every day. Some days may be boring. Some days may nothing be changing from the day before, but you need to be there every day. And just do not be afraid to start small. Do not think you need to be where the people you aspire to be are now, because you cannot get there now. You've got to start.
I think that's again another great point, because I know loads of people like this, you know, locally, they'll come to me and say, you know, I'm looking at this land, bearing in mind they haven't got any buy-to-lets or no property, and they start to look at a care home or a land development or a block of flats. It's too big.
You're mad. You're going to lose your trousers. Why would you know what to do with that? It just doesn't make sense. It's like you just turn to them and say, what's the industry you're in? What is it you do? You know, you're an accountant, great. So you're taking on firms of what, 10, 15 employees? Okay, so instead of that, this is the equivalent to you going and taking on the accountants for, I don't know, Tesco.
yeah, miles apart.
You're looking at me like I'm mad. There you go. There's your example. And that's why I'm looking at you like you're mad. Stop trying to buy land and, you know, build this lab, because first of all, people are going to realize you don't know what you're doing. So you're going to be taken for a ride. You've never had a try and error, so you don't know what things actually cost. You've read it in a book somewhere. So just don't do that. You're going to spend your money on project managers, on this manager, on that manager. You're going to lose your margin. In fact, you'll go way past your margin. You're going to lose your money. And that's why it won't work out. Start small. Don't be afraid to start small. Get on the studio flats. Start with a studio, then go to a 1-bed, then go to a 2-bed. However tedious it may be, do it, because those small ones you can get done in 6 months. The big ones are 2-3 year projects. And you're on drawdowns, you're on finances, you're on costs, you're on management, you're on projects, planning. Oh, there's so many elements that can go wrong. Do not start with something that's got more elements that can go wrong than right.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I think again that's some great advice. There's been some gems in the show so far. Thanks, Sam. Just one last question, just before we wrap up. So I ask everybody this question on the show. The show is obviously called the Rags to Riches Show, but what does being rich mean to you, Sam? Because you can be rich in time, you can be rich in relationships, rich in monetary terms, you can be rich in loads of different things. But what does being rich mean to you?
Being rich to me means having the freedom to do with my time as I wish. And at the moment, that's as much time with my family, children, and the growth of my businesses, not being under someone else's watch, under someone else's time, under someone else's constraints, whether that's a project, whether, you know, I've now built my companies to a stage where there's project managers, there's sales directors, head of operations, marketing managers, where I overlook, I see, I direct, I manage, I help, I sit down and, you know, I get proposals put to me and I say, let's do this, let's not do that. That's not where I see the brand going. Okay, great. That expansion looks great. This housing project looks great, whatever it may be. So to me, it's having the freedom to do with my time as I wish.
Yeah, love that. My answer's similar, because if you earn a lot of money, if you lose it, you can make it back, but you never get the time back, can you?
Money. If you're chasing money, it's never going to be enough, and you're always going to be on the chase. However cliche that sounds, but go do it. If someone chases money, ask them when they ever think, what is the number where they will stop? They won't.
They won't. Yeah, they'll keep moving the number.
There's no number. Doesn't.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you so much, Sam. If people want to reach out to you, if people want to look at what you're doing and follow you and things, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you or follow you?
There's my personal Instagram, which is sam.ibgi, my last name, Ibgi. On there, you can see links to my company, links to my brand, links to what I do, or obviously you can follow Buckingham_Lloyds. And that's my luxury apart hotel villa brand. And yeah, on my personal one, I post a very generalization between all my properties and what we buy and what we do, the charities we help, etc., whatever journey that we're on that week. And I try to involve my family life, personal life, and you won't see flash cars and watches and things like that if that's what you're looking for on my personal, because if you're looking for a journey, it's there.
Okay, fantastic, Sam. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the show. I think you've shared loads of knowledge and some great advice for people. So thanks a lot, Sam. Appreciate your time today.
I really appreciate that, Terry. And I hope the story gives someone the inspiration, and if it's just one person, that's amazing.
Exactly. Me too. Thanks a lot, Sam.
Thanks,
cheers, mate. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.